And welcome back everybody to another episode of All the Mods 10. I'm your host, Undisturbed Potato, and we are going to be getting back into some more mechanism. There is a little preview of what I did make in between episodes. Well, not really. I thought I hit the record button, but I didn't, so I'll cover it real quick. But in today's episode, we are going to be making the twin towers, the reactor, and the turbine. I also made a little layer in between, so that's where we are going to be putting those two. The twin towers, as you can see, are here. These are to produce lithium. So you're going to need a thermal evaporation block base of a 4x4. You are going to need some valves and a controller, one controller, and I'd recommend at least 3 valves, one so you could import a liquid, one to export it, and then one for a heater. However, I did use more, and you do have to make it a minimum height of 3. At the topmost layer, you do not have to have the corner block, as you can see over here. The max height for this structure is 18 blocks. And the reason why you do that is to increase the amount of liquid that you can produce at a time. As you can see here, we can produce about 333 millibuckets, and if I raise this, I think we might be able to increase that. And so if we come over here and take a quick look, that does increase the production rate, which is pretty cool, just because later on we are going to be turning this into lithium dust, and we are going to need a ton of that just because it is used quite extensively over here. As you can see, we use a wee bit of it to make these cells, which in turn are going to be used again to be making these, which makes the elite version to make the ultimate provider. So we are going to need a lot, and that's the reason why we are producing so much at a time. So the next step in this process is to produce the lithium itself. Okay, to produce the lithium dust, we are going to need to use the chemical crystallizer, but I do not have this machine made yet. However, we do have everything to make it. So all I have to do is create a little pattern. And yes, I did upgrade my wireless terminal, so now not only does it craft, it can use the encoder, and we can access it all from here, which is really cool. So I could just do this, click this one more time, and then we are here, and I could just go into looking forward to making this, and just like that, we can craft it, which is very useful because now we don't have to go to the terminal area to keep crafting all these things, which is super awesome. So from here, I'm just gonna craft it right away, just so I'm not wasting too much time. I'll make this look prettier on the side whenever I do get to it. So let's grab some power over here, put it there, and then we'll pull some liquid out and bring it in here. First, we got to configure it, of course. So items, make sure you have it on auto eject, clear it. I do want to output to the right. And then as for chemicals, we are going to be taking it from the top. So let's see, is this working? Okay, so I forgot a little in between step. So here we do need a rotary condensator, and just like before, we are going to be turning a gas to a liquid, so we want it set to condense, and then we are going to configure this to extract. It's going to send it in here, which all we have to do is throw another cable right there, and then get on this side, come to fluids. It is set to input, and then chemicals, we are going to want to output this guy to the front into the chemical crystallizer. Oh, and I guess I was wrong. It's not condensed. We want to decondense it because it is going liquid to gas. Yeah. And just like that, we get it over here, which throws the lithium into this, and over time we do get lithium dust. So, since this is going a little slow, we will craft up some upgrades and then apply it to the thing and see how this works. Alright, cool. So just like that, we have started to automate our lithium process, and we don't really have to worry too much about running out of lithium because we are producing quite a lot and we're not overusing it. If you do want to produce more at a time, I would recommend making multiple crystallizers and having the condensator send the gas to each of them so that you can produce this faster. However, I do have it running at max speed and it's doing its job. There are two ways that we can make this process faster, and one of them would be using our time wand. As you can see, if we do this, it is starting to go crazy with it. The next one would be using our good old soul farm and soul surging the machine so that it produces this at a faster rate. But just like that, we are going to leave that guy alone. As for right now, what we are going to be doing next is probably the hard part, and that is building this reactor. We'll open this guy back up, and as you can see, with the insane amount of materials, we are going to have to rebuild this reactor. Or I'm saying rebuild just because I did build this earlier in the world just to make sure it worked, and yes, it is a ton of material. So we'll open up the chunk again, and this is the area where we are going to be building it. This chunk is 16 by 16, but I will only be using the 15 by 15 portion of it just because it is a lot. That should be 15, and then this should also be 15. Sweet. And just like that, we have our 15 by 15. All that is left to do is fill all this in. All right. Now that we put in some fuel assemblies and the rod assemblies, we can get started on working on the last layer, aka all the glass. So if we come over here and just grab all this, hopefully this works the same with this. Yes, perfect. For some reason yesterday when I was doing this just wasn't working at all, which had me confused. But seeing as it is working now, this is awesome. So down here, all we have to do is connect all this. And cool thing about the construction stick is that it can connect if these corners are touching, which is awesome, because then I could just do one layer like that, come over here, right click it, and just like that, all three layers are being built at the same time, which saves us quite a ton of time. Cool, and just like that, we have created our reactor. However, it can't really do anything since we don't have any ports. So, what I do plan on doing is over here, I do want this spot to allow us to put in the fuel. So we'll put a block here, and just like that, in this spot, we can insert fuel. The way you can adjust this is if you just put your configurator into configuration mode, aka you could shift and then use your mouse wheel to change the mode. You can come over here, shift and right click, and it tells you what it's been changed to. So here, output coolant, or input only. So if you're here on input only, we could feed the fuel directly here. So over here, I also want to take out the waste because I do plan on sending the waste over here so that it can be turned into one of the materials we're going to need later on. It is a ways away, and that's because we can't really send nuclear waste through and an entangle border, so I'm gonna have to make a cable and bring it all the way out there, which is a little bit of a hassle, but who really cares? As for this side, we are going to want to put another port right here, and this one is going to be set to output coolant. So some of the steam that we are going to be producing from here will be sent along this way to the turbine so that we can produce more power. As for these spots, I'm going to put at least 3 more of these guys. These guys are going to be also set to output coolant. The reason why I'm doing that is because the turbine that we are going to be making will have a dump excess feature. However, if the steam does build up way faster and puts our reactor in a critical state, I will want to add some more outlets so that we can delete the steam. And that's why I have these trash cans, because it does delete fluids, which steam is considered one of such things. So 1 to output steam to the turbine, 3 to output excess steam to the trash, 1 here for the fuel, and then this one for, whoops, gotta set that back, this one for output waste. And I feel like I'm missing 2, which I can make these guys really quickly, as you can see. And this one right here is going to be an input for liquid, and so is this one right here. We are going to return some of it to here, but in all reality, we most likely don't even need this at all. Why? Because we are going to be using integrated dynamics to fill this guy up with water from a sink. So if we come over here at integrated, we'll be getting our exporter, one of these interfaces, and a cable. Can't forget one of these cards. And then if we grab a sink, cool. So right here, we're going to put the sink. We're going to put the fluid interface, whoops, fluid interface right there. We're going to put the exporter card here. As you can see, the arrow is pointing in, so it's going to go in that way. And then we put the little logic cable to connect the two. Come right here, put the little variable card, and just like that, this is going to slowly fill up with water. One of the crazy things about this is you could come over here to the properties, and you could come over here to the fluid transfer rate, and you could change how fast the water is input. All you have to do is keep pressing 9 until you see the X, and then once you do, you just do that, press enter, and then when you get out, instantly filled. Which is awesome because you are always going to want water in here to cool down the reactor. So, just like that, we technically have our reactor built and set up. However, there's some things that we didn't add that we will be adding. And that is these logic adapters. The reason why we are adding these is because these are fail-safes in a sense, where it'll turn off our reactor if certain conditions are met. So let me set this up, mess around with the redstone a little bit, and then I'll explain it to you guys in just a moment. Alright, cool. So I managed to get this all set on the first try, which is awesome. So what I'm going to explain is why we have these logic adapters. These logic adapters are fail-safes and a way to control the reactor with redstone. So right here we do have it set to activation on the bottom adapter so that when it does receive power, it'll turn on the reactor and it'll turn off if there's no power. So the way we create this little latch is by using a mod called More Red. We are going to be using a NOT gate. The NOT gate does emit power all the time. However, if one of these guys emits power, it will turn it off. So these guys will be emitting power if we are at a high temperature, we are at a critical waste level, if we're at the critical damage and or if we don't have enough fuel. So these guys will emit redstone, or will emit a signal if any of those conditions are met, which will turn off our reactor as shown, which is really cool and very handy, just because we don't want to be babying the reactor all the time. So one of the missions when it comes to our reactor is making sure we are producing enough fuel to keep this on constantly, always have a way to output the waste and utilize that so that this guy is always empty. So next up on the list is to build our turbine, and then once we build that, we'll connect the two, and then we'll get our radioactive area set up, and then we'll conclude the episode. So this one's going to be a little long, so please bear with me. Alright, so a quick little bit about the reactor, as I am going to build it real quick, is that the bottom has to be made out of turbine casing completely, and then the rest of the wireframe, as you can see, can be turbine casing. The exception is once we finish putting down all of these rotors and getting to the top, we have to put something called a rotational complex, and then around that rotational complex we are going to be putting these pressure dispersers. So what's so important about this fact is once you create this layer of pressure dispersers in the interior, the exterior can be used to be filled in with these turbine vents. So right here, from here on up, we're going to be using turbine vents, as well as up here. What else are we going to be using? Well, we're going to be using this electromagnetic cable, which does need to be directly above the rotational complex. You do not need 7. However, since we have so much room, I am using 7, but you technically only need one of these guys for every 4 blades that you put down. So here, I think I have 12. Yeah, I have 12 of these guys, and I have 24 of these. So in theory, I only needed 6, not 7, but I am keeping the 7 just for aesthetic purposes. So as we discussed, from this layer up is going to be vents. This whole layer is going to be vents. What about the interior? Well, the interior will be the saturating condensers, and then we are going to need to put down 2 valves, one to output energy and then one to accept steam. So I will be putting one down right there to accept steam, and then I'll be putting one probably in that corner to output energy. And once I'm done, I'll come back and then show you guys the result. Alright, and just like that, I have finished the turbine. So as I said, in the middle you have the rotators. On top of that, you have 2 blades per rotor. Here we have one of the valves. This is going to be connected to here to get steam. This one's going to be for energy. If you right click it, you can see the max capacity of steam, the max flow of water, and here we will be dumping excess, just because this will be producing a ton of steam. As I said earlier, the interior here has to be empty. However, when we put that rotational complex and fill that in with the pressure disperser, this layer on the outside can now be turned into vents, as well as the top here. And if we take a quick look in here, besides those electromagnetic coils that are on top of the rotational complex, the rest is filled with saturating condensers. And so, just like that, we have our reactor and turbine set up. The last part here is to connect these cables, just to make sure we have everything. Alright guys, and I am back after setting up everything. It was a wee bit of a hassle, but we have our reactor, we have some fuel. If we come over here, this is always giving it water. Over here, this is going to send steam into the turbine to generate power. any steam that gets turned into water, the water will be returned through here back into there, which we kind of don't need just because we are producing a ton of water. However, I'm doing it just cause good practice, whatever you may call it. This is where we're going to be putting the fuel, which is going to be with this entangled porter right here. As we explained earlier, this will turn on our reactor when it's given power. However, right now I scrammed it. That's the reason why it is off right now. Up here, if any of these issues occur, then a redstone pulse will be emitted, flipping this, turning off the reactor. Over here, we do have this port that is sending out the waste, and it goes all the way over here. Why, you may ask? It is because we do need this neutron activator, and that is for this polonium. This polonium pellet can be made with water and polonium, also fluorite dust. But to get this, we do need to put that nuclear waste through this guy to make this. That's the reason why it's all the way out here, because we do need the sun. So when it is day, this thing will be working. And at night, when this gets full, this guy will start getting some of that waste and turn it into plutonium, which will come in here, mix with water and some fluorite to produce some pellets. These guys, their pellets and whatever, will be sent automatically to the ME system, which I'm going to add them to the drawers just so we don't keep using up disk space. But the excess spent nuclear waste will be extracted through the front where they both combine and head all the way down here to where they will be placed into these radioactive barrels, which will slowly get rid of that waste. I'm pretty sure it gets rid of 1 millibucket per tick, but just like that, everything has been put together. So let's put this back and set this to normal and make sure this is getting chemical. So this is set to output. Perfect. This is already set. If we check it, as you can see, this is gradually filling up. And if we come over here and check out this area is now back online, and that is because we are producing fissile fuel. And if you take a quick look, you can see how we're producing around 40 millibuckets per tick, which is pretty good. The reason why this isn't going faster is because it is limited. Earlier when I was looking around, when I first connected the entangled porter, we ran out of energy because this area down here was using roughly around 530,000 RF per tick. We are currently only producing 420,000, utilizing our extreme reactor at about 50% power. So we could probably reach up to maybe 600,000. However, I'd rather just limit it for now, get this puppy up and running, and then when we are generating more power, then we'll not limit that and let it use as much power as needed. So when we come over here, we will turn this back on. So we'll do that, come over here and press activate. And just like that, our reactor is working. As you can see, this will slowly get some nuclear waste, but this is not hot enough. So if we come over here to the stats area, we can change how many millibuckets per tick we are using. I am going to put it at 10 since we are producing roughly 40 per tick. So just like that, we are starting to use a little bit of fuel and our heat will start going up. And let me come over here. I want to see. We are starting to get some steam sent in here. As you can see, we are producing only 170,000 RF per tick. So let's come back over here and increase the burn rate. Since we are producing roughly 40, we will set this to 40, which is 4 times what we had originally. So if we come back over here, you can see our turbine is spinning a little faster, and now we are producing 685,000 RF per tick. So 685 plus 420, we are at about 1.1 million, and that's only right now. Imagine if we were producing more fuel, we could be producing more steam, which will produce more power, which is something that I'm gonna work on offline. But for now, we got everything we need. So here, all we have to do is click bypass limit, and we are, nope, that is way too much. So here, I'll allow it to use 600,000, or you know what, I'll be generous, I'll put it back to the original 800,000 RF per tick. Come back over here and check how much fuel we are producing. So if we look at it, we are now at about 118. So we'll put it to 110 over here and check how much more power we get from it. So we come here and then we'll put 110, enter, just like that. If we take a quick look, we are still getting more fuel than we are burning, and there's no issue so far, so that's good news. Come back over here real quick, double check this. We are now producing 1.88 million, so 188,000 or 1,880,000 R per tick. So let's bypass this limit, and just like that, this guy's using 1.2 million, which is pretty crazy, a power drain. But if we come back and check this, we are now producing 256 millibuckets per tick, which is pretty insane. I don't think we need to go that high, but we will change it to 128 because why not? Everything looks a-okay over here. And if we come over here and check it, we are now producing roughly 2.2 million RF per tick, which is being sent by this guy. So if we bypass the limit, this guy will be sending as much energy as needed, and it is storing our energy. However, one thing to be worried about is if this fills up completely with energy, it'll stop working, which means you are wasting energy. And not to mention, if there is too much steam, it could cause this to explode. So that is something you got to be worried about. However, that's not going to be an issue at some point soon, because we are planning to make a nice big power bank using the lithium that we were producing from earlier. As you can see, all this nuclear waste is building up and is being sent over here, which is being turned into our polonium pellets and plutonium pellets, right? Ah, this isn't sending our stuff. So we want to output the chemical to the pressurizer or the PRC. If we come over here, got to make sure our chemicals is able to be inputted from here, and just like that, we are now producing some polonium and plutonium. We'll give them some upgrades right quick. So 10, and then we'll put 10. And then we'll just shift right click these on. And just like that, these guys are producing quite a lot of stuff. If we come over here and put pellet, we can see that we are getting some plutonium and polonium. Best bet for us to do is come over here to our storage drawer setup and add these guys in here, just so that when it is inputted into the system, it does get put into the right place. So if we come over here and throw it in like that, boom, it is now storing over here, which is awesome. Only thing left to do is to connect an ME system, or connect a storage bus here, run it along, connect it to that ME system, so that we can read the lithium and start producing our items to make our power bank. I know this episode was long. I know there was a lot that was going on, and I might not have explained it that well, So, if you guys have any questions, make sure to go down into the comments and leave them there. If you guys enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave some feedback, whether you liked how I explained something, did something with you guys, or just something about the series. We are starting to get a little bit into some of the crazier stuff, so it's gonna be fun. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I get into mechanism and power generation, I love it. It's so much fun getting all this done. But yeah, next episode we are going to be making our power bank using lithium. You'll get to see how we do that. And then we are also going to make the SPS machine so that we can start producing antimatter, which is going to be awesome. So, with that, guys, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, peace.